setting up Pete Smith Inspection rather than just sitting there working for?
I had worked for Samuelson Concert Productions for 18 months. What became Very Light and Theatre Projects. I'd worked for Unusual for 11 years. I'd already started getting the exams I needed while I was there. I did 3 years for a Manchester crane company to get some commercial experience, and they were putting up huge gantry cranes in places like British Aerospace and Chester and stuff like that. And then after 3 years I left them and moved to Tomcat, the truss manufacturer. I did 2.5 years for them. Could kind of tell which way the wind was going, left, and really just after 25 years of working for other people and being quite aware of what I was making then, I thought I really don't want to do this again for anybody else. Partly because one of the reasons was I was going out signing off shows that people had hung up and getting paid less than the people that had hung them.
Right.
But still taking the responsibility. I guess that's kind of expected if you're working for a rigging company. But it was quite apparent that I was taking the responsibility with none of the rewards. And at that point you start to question what you're doing and why.
We had a brief chat yesterday, and you were showing off some of your war wounds.
Absolutely.
That you picked up over the years.
It's a curious thing. I've never actually had a direct accident or an incident where I've been hurt. In my case, I went to the doctors about a back problem that I did have in the lower back. I was given a CAT scan, as they do, and was called back into the office and told that I'd broken my neck. The doctor couldn't tell me when I'd done it or for how long I'd been walking about like that, but what he did say was that now that they knew about it, yes, it was of great concern. In terms of breaking the neck, no, not so that, you know, your head falls off or it goes floppy, but what I'd actually done was slip a disc in that crucial point of 5 to 6 vertebrae and crushed 70% of my spinal cord. I got sent to a specialist hospital, because from there upwards it's neurosurgery, the closest one to me being Oxford. Had an examination by them in the October and was told, we think if we don't operate on you by January, you'll be quadriplegic or dead.
My God.
And they gave me 3 months.
Fortunately, they managed to operate and it was successful.
It was getting a little bit worrying. They cancelled the bed 3 times before I actually got in. By the time I did go in for the operation, I wasn't feeding myself, I wasn't dressing myself or washing myself. I had no sense of touch and I had double vision, I couldn't read. And actually in the space of 6 weeks, suddenly you become very aware that although everything's still attached and working, actually there's a very big problem. And I have to say, in one doctor's consultation, all your skeletons fall out of the cupboard in one easy meeting. Because when somebody sits there and says, we think you've got 3 months, and they're not joking, you have to sit there and take it on the chin. And then re-evaluate everything afterwards.
I suppose that sort of put more of a focus on not dragging gear around from A to B and...
Well, the surgeon that operated actually said that he couldn't say it was definitely down to a particular thing, but this type of injury he generally sees as very common in people at the end of their working lives, 60, 70, 80, and it's through a lifetime of overlifting. I was 33, and the point is the industry was directly responsible. What I learned as a result was that instead of just not waiting for somebody and straining and I can do it and whatever, is that actually rather than being the good chap and getting on with the job, I should have waited, and even if it took 10 minutes, should have waited for help and not overlifted and not done it. And in my case, that was a tough way of finding out.
Yeah.
You know, if I could pass on anything to anybody else, don't be so impatient. Ask for help. Don't be afraid to refuse. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Because actually, if you take that approach, you're doing it the right way. The wrong way is when a doctor's sitting there telling you,
you've got 3 months.
You've got 3 months. So it does colour your judgment forever afterwards.
Yeah.
In my case, I wear a hard hat nowadays to protect my head. I am conscious of the fact if I get hit hard on the head, it might be my neck that explodes. The resultant surgery was bone grafts taken from my hip, inserted in between the 2 vertebrae in my neck after they'd removed the disc. So I have 5 vertebrae, not 6 in my neck, and consequently have 20% less movement.
Right.
I was never expected to go back to work. You know, that I found out afterwards from my doctor I was not expected to work again. I don't know what they think you are going to do. I'm one of these people that I have to be occupied from 9 to 5, or at least a good proportion of the day, or else I'll just get into trouble.
Health and safety is much more of a focus in people's minds.
The thing you have to accept with health and safety, and it's a problem with a lot of people in this industry, is that it's actually been written to cover the worst examples, not the best. And the health and safety legislation can only cater for the thing as a whole, not the little group of people that actually, for the most part, are doing it right. So it's an all-encompassing thing, and it's simple. If you want to come on site, if you want to do the job and just get on with it unmolested, it's simple. You play the game. You go and do the training courses, you write your method statements, risk assessments, and you submit them all beforehand, you get cleared, and you stick to them on site. And it's much easier to do a job that way than to try and argue the point with somebody, because you'll always lose.
A bit of a change of costume for the show this year.
Well, yes, it's been noticed by more than several people. The first day of the show was taken up by people who knew me, appearing not because they wanted to hire me or my company or my services, but they wanted a picture of me in smart clothes for their photograph album, mainly because they'd never seen it before. For those of you that don't know, my normal attire is steel toe-cut boots, tracker bottoms, something on in the middle, and a black woolly hat.
And I understand that several of your black woolly hats have been found in roof spaces around the world.
Several. In 2 cases they have been returned to me. I have to say I'm not sure whether I want one of my woolly hats after the 8 years it's spent in the venue back, but there you go, we'll wash it and give it a go.
Peter,
Winter's coming.
Thanks so much for your time, I really appreciate it.
A pleasure.
It's been great. Thanks a lot.
Anything I can do to help, anything I can do for other people to point them in the right direction or make them more aware, then it's worth doing, it's worth sitting down, it's worth talking to people.
Well, thanks very much, Pete, and you'll find a link to Pete's site on the website. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.